At 2nd and 3rd level spells, things start to get pretty interesting for the Pathfinder Druid. Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire, here to keep going on with the spell guide portion of our look at the 1st edition Pathfinder Druid. Today we'll be delving into some of their 2nd and 3rd level spells. Now, just bear in mind that given that you are technically a divine spellcaster, you know all the spells on this list. It's just a question of which ones you prepare each day. And don't forget that you're allowed to substitute in any of your prepared spells for Summon Nature's Ally. So any of the Summon Nature's Ally spells that you have access to, you can automatically throw that in to replace any existing spell slot that you have a prepared spell in. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now, we'll actually start talking about your 2nd level spells here. And we'd be remiss to not touch on something that has been a long-standing classic for the Druid through Dungeons & Dragons all the way up through to Pathfinder, even into 2nd edition Pathfinder. That's Barkskin. Now, you touch a target creature to grant a +2 natural armor bonus, increasing by a +1 for every 3 levels above 3rd, maxing out at a +5 bonus at 12th level. Now, the important thing to note is that this stacks with existing natural armor, but not with other enhancement bonuses to natural armor. So still, all the way around, this is pretty nice. And if you're not going to be using this on yourself, you're at least going to use this on your animal companion. This will help to boost their survivability massively. Also, consider looking at Fog Cloud. This works as obscuring mist, but you select a point within 100 feet plus 10 feet for every level, and for 10 minutes per level, a fog will obscure sight, including dark vision, and will grant the same 20% miss chance at 5 feet away from the central point, and 50% miss chance for anything beyond that. So, this can do a lot to really mess with the enemy, especially since that you can pick out such a long range area to affect, and you can really start to throw things off. Just bear in mind, much like obscuring mist, this can be blown away by a strong wind or burned away by a fireball spell or other similar spell to that. Next, we come to Soften Earth and Stone. Pick a 10-foot square per level area of natural earth and stone that's within 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 levels. Wet earth will become mud, dry earth becomes loose dirt and sand, stone becomes a soft clay. Now, creatures in mud must make a reflex save or be caught for 1d2 rounds and unable to move, attack, or cast spells. And that's amazing right there. However, on success, this means that they move at half speed and are unable to run or charge, and that's pretty damn incredible as well. That's still a partial effect that's hitting them right there, so that's fantastic. Now, loose dirt is not quite so harsh. Loose dirt leaves targets moving at half speed, unable to run or charge. So no save there, but they are still stuck, and you're affecting maneuverability and maintaining a great level of battlefield control. Now, stone that's turned to clay won't slow movement, but is much more easily excavated. It's moldable, you can cut it and shape it, do lots of interesting things with it. However, something to note, and it's noted in the spell description, is that you can affect rock walls, and even if you're in a cavern, rock ceilings or the stalagmites and everything. And given that you're turning the rock into clay, it's going to be much more easier to separate away from the rest of the material on the ceiling or along the walls, and possibly cause collapses. You can even cause damage to buildings this way, although particularly well constructed and undamaged buildings are just going to take damage and they're not likely to collapse, but anything you've done significant damage to, though, destabilizing the ground underneath its foundations can cause some incredible damage and possibly a collapse if you plan things out well. And then, moving on from that, we come to resist energy. You touch a target creature to grant energy resistance 10 to either acid, cold, electricity, fire, or sonic damage. And this increases to 20 at 7th level and then up to 30 at 11th level, meaning even though that this is a 2nd level spell, this is going to have some pretty steady staying power for you. So all the way around, very, very valuable. And the fact that you have that flexibility in selecting which type of energy is only going to add to that value overall. Then we have Stone Call. At a 40-foot radius, the 20-foot tall cylinder within 100-foot plus 10-foot level range, conjure a storm of gravel, dirt, and pebbles that deals 2d6 bludgeoning damage on the first round, creating difficult terrain in its area for 1 round per level. There's no saving throw for any of this or spell resistance, and so when you conjure this, you do create that difficult terrain right off the bat there, and it also deals that damage. Afterwards, that damage doesn't continue, but you're still creating difficult terrain, adding into that area of control that you are utilizing there. So definitely worthwhile as well. Then we have Summon Nature's Ally 2. You summon one creature at a point within 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 levels, or 1d3 creatures from Summon Nature's Ally 1. The Giant Spider option offers a touch attack web that entangles targets and gets a plus 5 bonus to attack. Its poison damage and everything else that it does aren't great, but it is an ally that you can bring onto the battlefield into a flanking position to help with positioning, getting other people's abilities to work, like a rogue sneak attack bonus. Same things we've talked about before with all of this. But another option that can do much of that for you is the Axe Beak. It's a large creature. It deals 1d8 plus 6 damage with its bite attack, has a plus 5 to hit, has a 10-foot reach, and the sudden charge ability, where if it hits with a charge attack, it can immediately make a free bite attack with it. So all the way around there, the Axe Beak is actually a pretty great option. Especially, again, we're leaning into battlefield control. It's got reach, so it's going to affect a significant area, and it's a fairly hardy creature as well. But after that, we get to the 3rd level spells, and much like with their arcane counterparts in the Wizard and the Sorcerer, things really start to take off for the Druid here and just start getting wildly out of control. You've got a great array of spells available to you, but these ones in particular are going to be especially useful and synergize with a lot of your other spells and abilities. First of which is Mass Featherstep. You target one creature per level, no two of which can be more than 30 feet apart, in a 25-foot plus 5 feet every 2 levels area. You allow them to ignore difficult terrain and take 5-foot steps in difficult terrain for an incredible 10 minutes per level. And bear in mind, some of the spells we've talked about already do a lot to create difficult terrain. This lets them ignore that, which is just fantastic. This means that you can really throw out all of these spells meant to really make things difficult for your opponents to position and maneuver and the like, especially anything that's landlocked. And then you hit your allies with this and they suffer none of those problems or penalties, enjoying their full range of movement, able to get at their opponents or get away as needed. Then we also have Greater Longstrider. Target yourself, and for 1 hour per level, you gain a plus 20 enhancement bonus to your base movement speed, and a plus 10 bonus to your other movement speeds, such as swim, fly, burrow, etc., things like that. So, all the way around again right there, since we're talking about maneuvering and positioning, this is great to have. And again, it lasts for so long, you can conceivably, easily, readily use this for a lot of traveling montages, overland routes, whether you're going by land or flying, or even if you have to swim to get to where you're going. The fact that this will last so long is amazing. And again, given you're able to wild shape, you are going to freely be able to travel around quite effectively through a lot of different areas. So don't underestimate how valuable Longstrider is in and outside of combat. Then we have Spike Growth, and this is one of my favorite Druid spells. You select one 20-foot square per level, within 100 feet plus 10 feet per level. Vegetation, including roots or any rootlets, will grow spikes while still appearing normal, as though they were normal plants. Ugh, got tongue-tied there. Any creature moving through this area takes 1d4 piercing damage per 5 feet moved through it. They must make a reflex save or gain injuries that cut their movement speed in half. And this lasts for quite a while, and not only that, but the damage lasts 24 hours or until it's healed, and healing takes several minutes, so chances are it's not going to be till they're out of combat or, well, dead, at which point they have much larger issues than the damage to their feet. But this is great for battlefield control and sneaking in a little bit of damage there. All the way around, just a great spell. But again, its only real downside is that you don't affect flying enemies, but a lot of your enemies are going to be on the ground, and even if they're just chaff units, they're distraction units, they're only there to draw away and drain resources, this helps to negate a lot of that pretty damn quickly. And again, this just does so much for you and your party. Speaking of doing things for you, and at least one member of your party, we have Greater Magic Fang. Select one living creature within 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 levels. They get a +1 enhancement bonus to attack and damage every 4 caster levels, maxing out at a +5. This lasts 1 hour per level and can be made permanent, unlike Magic Fang's 1 minute per level. So this is just great to have all the way around. Now, one other effect that you're able to achieve with this spell is that you can spread that enhancement bonus to the multiple appendages that your animal companion can attack with, if they have them. Or you can do separate castings of this on them. Ideally, you're going to do the separate castings portion at a point when you can actually make this effect permanent on your animal companion. And this will do a lot for them, because now that their effects or their attacks count as magic, they're able to bypass that magic damage reduction requirement that a lot of opponents might actually have if there's a specific enhancement bonus they need to get around. Things like lawfully aligned, good aligned, or specific material components like needing silver or adamantium. Those will be trickier. Those will be things that you need to sort out with your DM, but I like the idea of some high fantasy dentist work going on for some dire lion where their teeth are getting coated with adamantium. That sounds like a lot of fun. But, of course, we still have more that we need to cover. Next is Thorny Entanglement. Works as the Entangle spell, except the plants grow and throw thorns once per turn up to 15 feet at any creature on that creature's turn. The plants use your caster level as their base attack bonus and add your spellcasting ability score modifier to the attack roll, meaning they're going to be hitting pretty damn reliably. The thorns count as a thrown weapon and deal 2d6 piercing damage. All the way around, fantastic, and this is great to have. The fact that this is area control, potentially entangling and wrapping up opponents and causing all kinds of debuffs to them, and then it's got the chance of doing damage like this is just staggering. And God forbid opponents get stuck in the area too. It just is an absolute blender of a spell. Definitely worth making sure that you have this regularly on your casting list. Now, then we have Stone Shape, which is just great utility and offers a lot of creative flexibility to you. Up to 10 cubic feet per level you touch can be formed into any existing shape. Parts that are supposed to move have a 30% chance to not function, so this is any amount of stone up to 10 cubic feet per level. You touch that and you can shape it and remake it as needed. So you need to cross a chasm and there's plenty of stone available because say it's a rocky canyon. You can now create a platform, a bridge for your allies to walk across, as well as yourself, assuming you even want to walk. If you need a stone ladder for scaling up a wall, you can create that. You need a wall with some crenellations to protect yourselves behind. You can make that. If you need a door, you can make the door, but again, just bear in mind, because a door opens, it moves, you have a 30% chance of it not functioning. Now, this is not a high precision result that you're getting there. It'll be functional, but it's going to be rough, like rough cut, roughly hewn from the rock kind of look to it. So it's not going to be anything refined, but it will be functional, and you're really only limited by the amount of creativity that you have in regards to how you use this. And given that you can reform things into a lot of different shapes, if there's a wooden door frame that is set on a stone wall, you can really do a lot to mess with that wall and make the door just really not work all that well. And then don't forget, Druids also have access to a similar spell from earlier levels called Wood Shape that does more or less much of the same thing, so you can do a lot to bypass some otherwise challenging obstacles. And then lastly, we come to Summon Nature's Ally 3, always worth talking about. You summon one creature at a point within 25 feet plus 5 feet every 2 levels, or 1d3 creatures from Summon Nature's Ally 2, or 1d4 plus 1 creatures from Summon Nature's Ally 1. Now for this, there are plenty of animals to take a look at, but there's 2 in particular that stand out to me. First is a Celestial Dire Boar. This gets a +8 on its attack, which is a gore attack that deals 2d6 plus 9 damage. That's pretty hefty, but it's held up by the fact that it's only one attack. It's an accurate attack, so that's not likely to miss, but if it misses, well, then it's missed, and it's not going to be able to really do much for you, aside from being a little bit of a damage soak and good for positioning with various allies. However, just bear in mind that it can smite evil once per day because it is a Celestial Dire Boar. And because it has 5 hit dice, it has a damage reduction of 5 unless it's being hit with evil attacks from an evil source, an evil aligned weapon, or the natural attacks of a creature that is inherently evil. It also gets dark vision out to 60 feet, and it's going to have an incredible 42 hit points, making it very, very tanky. Your other option is the leopard, one of the big cat varieties. Has 3 attacks, so bite of +6 at dealing 1d6 plus 3 and having a grab effect with it, and 2 claw attacks, also with a +6 to hit, dealing 1d3 plus 3. It also has the pounce and rake abilities, and a climb speed of 20 feet. However, it only has 19 hit points, but this creature is going to have a lot of maneuverability and an ability to position itself pretty well. That climb speed is incredibly handy. It doesn't... silly animal companion. It doesn't have the same degree of movement that the Dire Boar has. The Dire Boar gets 40 feet of movement speed, whereas the Leopard has 30 feet of movement, but both are going to be able to do so much for you, and you're going to really want to select based on what your more immediate needs are. If you are not... if you're able to move with some stealth and try to get into position, attacking from unexpected angles to create some really unique flanking opportunities, then the Leopard is probably going to be your go-to. However, the Celestial Dire Boar, if you're in a situation where if you're struggling to see, you really need something durable and tanky, something that is going to hit fairly accurately, most of the time, then that's going to come in handy as well. Not only that, but the dark vision is just absolutely great added utility that you get there. So just lots of things to consider all the way around, and knowing which is going to be most useful is going to just be a bit of experience on your part and kind of feeling out how combat's playing out once it actually gets underway. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? What other spells might you recommend? Certainly there are so many, like Lesser Restoration is always going to be useful. However, it's probably more useful as a wand. just so that way you can keep your spell slots freed up for many of these other spells. And generally speaking, unless there's been a lot of ability damage taken, you can probably wait until after a fight to use it, but just bear in mind that ability damage can be much more debilitating quicker than hit point damage can. Especially if you get hit with anything that's reducing your wisdom score, or if the wizard's intelligence score is being reduced, or the sorcerer, if their charisma score is going down. That's going to present a lot of problems affecting spell save DCs and the like. But, again, just depends on experience. But still, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, what spells you might recommend, and we'll engage in discussion. Remember to hit those like or dislike buttons, and as always, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.